Greetings, my fellow hunters, and welcome again. Today, we're going to be putting our stylish black capes, putting on some fangs, and basically die from the simplest things ever possible. Today, we're going to be reviewing the 2021 anime that I missed, sadly, The Vampire Dies Again. Sorry about that, I had to be a little cheesy. But yes, I'm going to be reviewing this anime that was basically a comedy vampire series and see if it's really worth the thing, as if it sucks either blood or basically crap. So, let's basically get on to this, and as I always say, let the hunt begin. So, the story of this anime basically begins with a vampire called Ronaldo, who was called in to basically take on a vampire that supposedly kidnapped a child. He basically tracks down the vampire to a huge mansion that he lives in and basically starts to fight him, until realizing that the child wasn't kidnapped, however just snuck into the house every night to basically, well, not every night, but every day to simply play the game, and unfortunately he just stayed a bit longer, so they had to call the vampire hunter, because frankly the vampire that lives in that mansion is a complete and utter weakling that couldn't even take on a fly. And it's happened. His name is Draluk, and he is the most pathetic vampire in the entire series. After Ronaldo simply destroys his entire mansion, Draluk is forced to basically live with Ronaldo, and basically hijinks ensue. On the one hand, we have a competent but overpompous vampire, on the other hand, vampire hunter, and on the other hand, we have a generously weak and pathetic vampire. Yeah, so you think things are going well, but somehow it actually works because these two are like a very good comedic duo. It works, simply. And the fact is they have to take on vampires that are stronger, but they don't kill them, ironically, because it's not serious. This is a comedy. The only one that technically continues dies is Draluk, but that's just from a comedic effect. And you're wondering, what sort of vampires are they basically going to face, and why is it so funny? Well, first off, it's a comedy, so that's one thing. The second of all is because the vampires are really goddamn ridiculous. I'm going to list out 3 of them, and only one serious one. So, first one. Basically, a vampire that basically is naked, half naked, only wears a cape, and basically has plants coming out from his, you-know-where. Second vampire is a vampire that basically plays rock, paper, scissors, and basically whoever loses basically has to strip, hijinks ensues. The third vampire is basically a vampire that basically wants the world to be wearing nothing but micro bikinis. Nope, I will not fight him. I may be a lot of things, but I'm not that stupid. Yes, and there was a fourth vampire that I can remember that is basically supposed to be the serious one, but because it was so serious that everything happened to it was comedically funny. Basically, he put his soul into a little doll, and whatever happens to the doll happens to him. You see where you're going with it. Basically, what happened was that basically, Draluk found said doll and basically messed around with him, spilled some hot milk onto him. I'm sorry, it's so funny, it's laughing. Sorry. Just remembering it's funny. And then basically, a lot of things happened. His clothes got robbed, so his real clothes got destroyed, basically. They put on some not appropriate gear he was wearing it, because whatever, again, happens to the dolls happens to him. I'm sorry. Just thinking about it's just so funny. Ugh. Serious, Hunter. Doing this is just your job. But anyway, the point is I'm trying to say is that it does a good well of establishing a comedic tone. It has a serious atmosphere, but it lends credence to the fact that it makes it even funnier, because one would expect a serious vampire hunting anime, but it turns out it's more of a comedic thing. Also, it's happy that Draluk is such a video game fan. Bonus pluses for that one. Speaking of Draluk, we're going to basically be talking about the characters now. So, let's move on to that one. So for the characters, we're going to basically be talking about the main 3. Draluk, Ronaldo, and a special someone I forgot to mention during the story, but I will mention him now because for not mentioning him is complete and utter sacrilege. And for that reason, we're going to basically start with that. Now with Ronaldo. So, when it comes to Ronaldo, he's basically a very serious person that basically doesn't take any jokes around that well. He basically just wants to get things done seriously, and unfortunately with what happened with that, he was responsible for, as I said in the story part, Draluk's home being destroyed. He has to now keep him as a partner. And also, he's a very well-known author for a very popular book, which he basically is swooning with ladies all over the world. So yeah, Ronaldo's an arrogant, pompous guy, but he is a serious guy that can do his work competently when Draluk's not around. So yeah, he's an overly good character and a pretty good dynamic to Draluk, which we're going to be talking about next. So, next, after Ronaldo, we have the ever so lovable and dim-witted Draluk. Now, Draluk is basically a vampire, and he is pathetically the weakest vampire of all of them. As I explained, hopefully, in the story, that he dies to literally everything. You can shout at him, he dies. You could basically give him a light slap, he dies. You could scare him, he dies. You could do basically anything, he dies! Draluk is nothing but a coward that only prefers to like to play video games. He does help Ronaldo with vampire hunts, but the only reason they always succeed is out of pure sheer luck. But that's not saying that Draluk is bad. In fact, he's a really fun character. A nice juxtapositioning to Ronaldo, of course. Well, Ronaldo is the serious type. Ronaldo's the serious type. Draluk is the more comedic and more eccentric type. He basically would rather be a comedic relief than basically a serious fighter, but in the end, it actually helps it. It gives a good contrast to the both of them. And honestly, watching them bicker like a married couple all the time is always the best part. Just seeing the interactions is just comedy gold alone. If it was a series about those two alone, it would sell like hotcakes. Woo! Fantastic. So, my final character I'm talking about is someone who I should have talked about first, that I realize it is John the Armadillo. John is basically what I would say is a lovable character. He is the heart and soul of this series. He is the emotional support that everybody needs but nobody has. John is loyal, companionship, and starnright cute. He is basically everything a companion should be. He cares about everybody. He loves everybody. No one would dare harm him. Even the vampire that's basically the evil one, that was basically the killer, even loved John. Nobody hates that character. And honestly, I just love him to bits. He is simply the best. I'm so happy that they actually include such a favorable character and such memorable that John is. And he comes so new. It's so cute. John, you will always be in our hearts. Now then, since I've been all through the characters, my final thoughts are that they're all very much written well. They're all expressively done well. They all have their unique quirks that makes them memorable. Most of them. And basically, they bring some flavor to the series. Some of them basically are just a nun that basically is a vampire hunter, or a big guy that basically wants to make a name but actually doesn't want to because he likes being in the background. Or basically a guy that's so mysterious that everybody forgets his name or can't even remember it. Can't remember it myself. Oh well. Anyway, I think the characters are great, especially the vampires, because the way they're done is just so comedically over the top. Some of them are just funny than they're evil. Of course, they're evil by most standards. It's just that they're funny doing their evil aboutness. As I said in the story, come on. When you've got basically a vampire that basically wants everybody to wear micro bikinis, you've just basically hit the ledge of comedy so far that it basically tunnels right back up, that it's just so funny that it's funny. Yeah, it's bad, but like I said, goes down, goes up so quickly that they don't even notice how silly it is. I just literally was sitting watching that episode thinking, what the hell am I seeing here? And I can't... What were the writers were on when they brought that up? And can I have some? But yes, overall, the characters are well written, well done, and basically all uniquely quirky and fun that brings to this wacky series that was already wacky to begin with. So, props to them. Anyway, we're going back to the animation. As I said, for the animation, it's pretty much very well done. And the best way I could describe it, that it's dark but colorful at the same time. I know that sounds oxymoronic because it is, but that's the point. It's very dark in its lighting, but the colors still pop somehow. And it's pretty easy to tell who's who. Sure, some vampires wear colors, but a lot of the vampire hunters are also colorful and expressive in how they dress. Kind of brings a nice contrast. The more wacky ones tend to wear more brightly colored clothes. The rock, paper, scissors vampire wears bright pink. I don't know why, but... minus him, most of the other characters wear a dark black aesthetic like yours truly. Minus the white, of course. But it brings a pop to it that I have to say. And in terms of the animation style, it's smooth and it's very stretchy. What do you expect from an animation of comedy? It has a lot of expression to it. Like, the characters show a lot of facial expressions in certain dilemmas. And the way they react is very springy, but solid as well. That's the best way I can explain it. It feels like every time something like an impact happens, you can literally feel it. But and that gives it a good, satisfying feel to it. I can harp on about it, but overall, I find that the animation does its job so well that it's hardly any nitpick about it. It's solid, it has a good contrast between the dark and light, and yeah, again, even though the series is settling mostly at night, vampires and all that, it looks bright and colorful. And beyond that, I have nothing more to say, except the music, of course. So, when it comes to the music, I have to say, it suits the theme perfectly. The opening is basically a very nice jazz choreography that has a nice rhythm to it, as jazz should. And basically, the music that plays is very jazz focused, again, lending to the atmosphere. It has a very good theme to it. It fits this whole gothic thing, ironically. It's upbeat, it's wonderful to lose. The opening makes you want to dance, especially since the characters do dance. And the fact it's downright enjoyable. I have very little complaints about how good it is and how well it fits the environment super well. It does very good at escalating when it's serious and having a nice cool comedic moments when it happens. So, yeah. Overall, as you can tell from my tone, just listening to thinking about it, my head's making me dance. So I'm going to start moving on before I get infectious anywhere. So, yeah. My final thoughts, as we always do. So, the $1,000,000 question. Is this series worth watching? And in my opinion, yes. With season 2 that came out a bit ago, which didn't cover because that's its whole thing, and I want to just cover this one so that way people can get into it easier. I know, hypocrite, but I do not care. That this series is definitely worth it if you want a good comedic series and just want to have a good laugh. It looks serious, it basically isn't serious, and that's what makes it so great. I know comedy is a subjective thing, and what you might find funny, I might not find funny, but overall, the comedic side hit is perfectly fine. It's got enough comedic action, to be honest, that keeps you interested, seeing what wacky antics is going to happen next, and basically keep you suspended while you keep watching it because the characters are that fun. And I'm being overexcited because I love the series, and I'm happy I got a second season. And honestly, I find it interesting. Again, because I love the characters and all that, because it's fun as hell. And sometimes you realize you need some of that. I talk about a lot of serious things like action, drama, when the fate of the world's happening. I honestly like it that it basically just takes it down and just has good old LOLs constantly, because why the hell not? Take something that's serious like vampires and actually make them funny. And I'm not talking about Twilight, because if I have to say that, I will kill somebody. But besides that, that entire series is perfectly fine. It's comedically toned well, it's good, and if you're going to enjoy it and want to sit down and just have a comedic laugh, especially with a few drinks, I'd recommend it. Give it a watch. If you enjoy it, sorry about that, but if you do, comment down below what's your favorite scene, because I'm always listening to new feedbacks. Now that we've had the comedic appraisal done, as usual, I appreciate you watching this far if you have. And if you enjoyed it, please subscribe to my channel and help me keep growing. My Patreon is down below. My Twitter and my Mastodon will also be there, because if Twitter is going to go down, I might as well have a new social link. Mastodon will be down below. My Twitch, if you want to catch me streaming as well, because I stream there every week. And my Discord server, if you want to just get to know me a bit more, is also down below. I appreciate everything that you have, and I hope you have a good day. And as I always say, may the good blood guide your way.